Okay, so I went through my paperwork and still could not find anything about the song. It's bothering me. I really want to figure it out. Um, Man, anybody? Anybody? I don't know why I don't have a music release from him. I could have swore I did. I found a couple others from other movies. All the way going back to Survival, which was my first movie that we did in like 2006. Every episode, I get to roll the dice and see what happens. Let's see here. Today, I'm going to go into the old memory archive, talk about 1987, whenever my mom was seeing her boss. Um, yeah. I don't want to make the podcast loggy at all, but I think it helps if I share some memories, things that I remember, experiences that I went through. It helps me raise questions and trying to figure things out, certain things. So maybe by me doing that, it will help you. And that's the goal. Help each other. Be happy. Happier. I will overshare so that you can get a better, I don't know, something better. It's got all this negativity has to lead to positivity, right? Somehow. I don't know how. It should, though. Otherwise, I don't know. Where's hope? All right, so let's see here. I'm just going to read this verbatim, so hopefully it doesn't sound too ridiculous. 1987. This is where things are kind of murky. More than the other stuff. This is when I was introduced to a lot of mental and physical abuse. I think we lived in Red Oak. I knew a kid down the street and we were pretty tight for a while. He was a couple years older than me and I thought he was really cool. We got into shit. All stupid, but it's just what kids do. Like frying an egg on the driveway on a really hot day. I remember he got into a lot of trouble for wasting a single egg. Maybe it wasn't just one. He had cable, so that's where I was introduced to you can't do that on television. We watched movies I generally wasn't allowed to see, like Platoon Leader and The Evil Dead. His parents were usually gone all day, and those were summer memories. Jerry was Kimberly's father. He didn't live with us, but he was there a lot. He was also my mom's boss. She got involved with him. He was married with 2 or 3 kids already. Later that year, I would actually spend the night at his family's house. How fucked up is that? Of course, I didn't see it as that. I didn't know what was going on. I just thought it was cool that me and his son were playing Nintendo, and the next morning I had pancakes with powdered sugar for the first time. This may have been happening when my mom went into labor with Kimberly. You'd think she'd harbor more anger by proxy with Kimberly than me. The reason I say that is because Jerry was an abusive drunk. Saying that even humanizes him, and he wasn't human. He was a fucking absolute monster. As an adult, I would sometimes look at someone twice that kind of resembled what I thought he looked like. I was a kid, so I always assumed he was a little towering. But it turns out he was like 5 foot 2 inches. Short ginger motherfucker. No wonder he drank. I remember being in the back of his Cadillac and I had this little Nintendo game, a play and watch. I had so much fun with that and it helped drown out any fighting in the car. We would drive up to the liquor store, which was exciting for me because I got a Slim Jim and a Coke. One time at daycare, this one girl was a real bitch to everyone. Just a very mean-spirited shit. One day we were sitting down against the wall in the hall, getting ready to do something. Who knows what. She was bypassing everyone to get to the head of the line, which wasn't even a big deal. We didn't know what the hell we were doing. Someone may have whispered to me, or maybe I thought it, but either way, as she walked past me, I stuck my leg out and tripped her. She didn't get hurt, but she sure cried as if she did. I instantly felt bad, but I wasn't too upset at the same time. Later, Jerry beat the shit out of me for, as he said, beating up a girl. I was 7. Another thing that I believe I've tried to block out, but only blocked other things out, is watching him beating my mom, watching him rain hell on her in a drunken rage and not being able to do anything. How I wrote this out was I would mark the year that I perceived it going on, and then I would kick back to 2018 with my thoughts as an adult. So that's what's happening now after that. So I'll say the year, proceed with memory. 2018. What's really fucked up is even at 38 years old, I still catch myself questioning if I was being a baby about everything. Was it really so bad that I was abused? That I had to watch my mom be abused? That I had to witness an alcoholic self-destruct? I can tell myself, of course it was. It was awful. It's nothing a child should be exposed to. It's only now I get angry with my mom for never removing me from the situation. I don't hate her. She made so many bad choices. Things that messed me up really bad, but I don't hate her. 1987. We would go to a Renaissance fair called Scarborough in Waxahachie just about every year. It was kind of our thing, and it was awesome. I was knighted there by a king who later died from cancer. I learned archery there and was damn good at it. I always knew I would ring the bell on the rope ladder, but I never did. It was always fun, except the year Jerry came with us. As usual, he got drunk, flirted with a woman, and he and my mom went at it. He took off. He left us there, his mistress and her 7-year-old. It felt like all night, but it was probably only a few hours that it took us to walk home. We played kick the can. Funny how things were that bad, and she still brought a bit of levity to it. I don't think I've ever felt that kind of selfless compassion since. After our hours-long hike, we arrive home to empty beer cans littered on the yard, and an empty case on the porch. Jerry's sitting there. We approach. He strikes. He shoves me to the ground and unleashes on her. I can't do anything. I'm weak. A child. Are these excuses for not doing something? I'm 38 and still conflicted. I'm told to go inside. I do. I'm on my bed, crying, arms covering ears, burying my face deeper and deeper into my pillow to where it's flush with the mattress. It does nothing. I can still hear the brutality of a short, angry, terrible man outside. It's tough, man. It's tough to think about that stuff. It's tough to say it out loud. It wasn't tough to write it. It wasn't tough to type it. I guess because I can disconnect myself, and maybe I'm just writing something as a character or for a character. But reading it out loud, it's tough. I feel bad for little me. I feel bad for my mom. Should I be angry with her for not removing me from the situation? I mean, as an adult, I know that dealing with a bad situation can be extremely daunting at the least, and at most, nearly impossible. But I can't help but now as a father think there's nothing I wouldn't do. I would risk being chased and tormented by some ex in order to keep my kids away from seeing that. Maybe it took that for me to know that. It took witnessing it myself to know the extreme nature of it. I don't know. I haven't put my kids in that kind of position yet. Sure, I get loud. Oh, man. How many of us were like that? How many of us had parents that put us through that kind of stuff? I don't know if she didn't do it intentionally, but I really can't help but think she could have removed us. I mean, she eventually did. Somehow we snuck out and stayed with my aunt for a bit. But even still, she created that situation. She knew, even after the first time. I mean, there were a lot of times that I remember her being just beaten by him. And this piece of shit, he as I mentioned, he was married and had a couple of kids. I believe later he would go to jail for arson, for burning down his family home. And I mean, how fucked up is that for me to be placed in a situation where something's going on with my mom? Obviously, that's why I'm there. But their only idea is, hey, let's take him to my wife's house, the house that I live primarily with my kids. Let's bring him there, and he can spend the night, and my wife can make him breakfast in the morning. I'm laughing, but it's just completely screwed. As an adult, how do you... God, as a kid, it's easy. I'm going over to somebody's house. Oh, cool, he has a Nintendo. He asked me if I want to play Nintendo. We play Nintendo. I wake up and have pancakes in the morning. I mean, Christ, it's just a nice sleepover. I don't know who these people are. I don't know what's going on. I just know that they're nice to me and this is awesome. But as an adult, I reflect back and what it does is it reminds me of all the times that I think about how I was told to be quiet and be left alone. And I go, crap, those were the times that either Scott or my mom were fucking somebody, I bet. Something was going on. And I know it's gross to go right to that, to think, oh, it's sex. But, I mean, come on. As an adult now, it makes sense. You know, I grew up with those memories thinking, man, that was really weird that they did that. And, only in the past 10, 15 years that I rethought about them and was like, oh, well, that makes sense considering the circumstances. It's late at night. And for some reason, I went out with my dad to some restaurant with some girl I'd never met before. And then we're sneaking out in the middle of the night because I fell asleep in the hallway. Like, this was my childhood, everyone. Anyway, I'm sorry. I laugh about that stuff. I know it's shit. It's terrible that a kid had to go through it, but I don't know why. I can laugh at it. And I think that the only reason why I'm grateful that I went through any of the abuse that I went through, any of the physical abuse or mental abuse, is that it prepped me on what not to do with my own kids. But there are still some things that I can think about and it fucks me up. And it sucks. But it happened. We can't change it. We just got to learn from it. You have to learn and be a better person. Let the movies glorify revenge and revenge tales. In real life, the best revenge is seriously a well-lived life. Isn't that how it goes? The best revenge is living well. I agree with that. I think that it's very true, especially since I also believe that eventually the universe takes out its garbage. But I believe that living well is the best thing for you, because then you don't have to hold on to it personally, and you don't have to do something that's going to screw up your life or your plan. Let the movies take care of all that. You just concentrate on being happy, overcoming, and learning from everything. Now, I'm trying to keep track of all the memories that I share and stories that I have, but I tend to repeat myself, and I hate that. It's a big pet peeve of mine. I feel like it's very... I just don't like it. So if you notice that I've done it, please let me know in the Facebook group or send me an email. Just let me know that, hey, dude, you already told us that one. Because then, I'm just jipping you out of new content for an episode, and that sucks. And I don't want to do that. Let's see, what else is there? Here's some more information, but I don't know. I'll probably dig deeper into these years later on. But I'm bringing it up only because, well, I'll get to that. In the early 90s, I became apparently an unruly child. My mom was not able to, quote unquote, handle me. I couldn't imagine being so bad that you would send your child away, but it is what it is. But she put me in this place called All Church Home for Children. And primarily, I'm pretty sure it was for kids without families. It wasn't an orphanage, but it was a place for them to be until they became legally an adult. And they took care of them. And that was good. But there were also some kids there that were known as troubled kids, I guess. I don't know. It's very strange. But I was there. I believe it was 1992, 1993. I know that I was there from the beginning of my 6th grade year up until past the summer of my 8th grade year. So I got out of middle school and still stuck around for the summer. Yeah, there's some bad stuff that went along there, and not that staff did or anything like that. I think that all the staff and everybody they were super nice. I'll say they're professional. I remember them being. They were called house parents, and I believe that they were being just that. They were being parents. They could be your pal, and they could also be the person that told you to take care of shit and be stern with you. And I think that was fine. I don't have any really bad memories with anyone there except for one guy that he wasn't a house parent. He was I believe he was a counselor. I don't know. I just know that he came from time to time to our building, and he was super into comics. I was super into comics, and we would trade comic books, and it was cool. It was a nice little relationship, and he was super nice. I'm saying super a lot, so I apologize. He was really nice, and like we were pals, and it was cool. So we go to this camping trip in New Mexico. I don't know why, but he's really angry with me. And I remember him taking me to like kind of a middle of a wooded area where, nobody can hear. And he pushed me down and kicked me a few times. Like hard, like an adult, because he was an adult. I was 12, 13. And I remember, I'm only bringing this up because I believe that's when it started that I realized someone that I cared for, that I considered a friend, would turn on me, would not turn on me, but would hit me, would push me, would kick me. And it was a very weird feeling to me because, the abuse that I had endured before was from somebody I didn't care about, somebody I didn't like at all, somebody that I barely saw as a human. That was easy. But somebody that I considered a friend, all of a sudden, out of nowhere, pushing me down, kicking me. What the hell? What's going on? I never told anybody about it. A couple of years ago, I was on one of the Facebook groups for the place, and people were talking about memories, and I have a bad penchant for spoiling good times, I guess. So everybody was talking about their favorite memories, and somebody this guy brought up like how he was having a big anniversary thing coming up. I'm trying not to give too many details, but this big anniversary thing coming up, and everybody should celebrate him and hooray for him. And I said something about what he did that day in New Mexico. I got a message from one of the directors of the program asking me to call him, tell him more information. Well, I freaked out. It was weird. I freaked out and I don't think that I responded to him. I can look it up and check. But I don't think I responded to him because it freaked me out. And then I started rationalizing. I started thinking, well, it happened so long ago. Who cares? Why bring it up? Blah, blah, blah. I mean, that's wild. Was it really that big of a deal? I think it was just, I'm seeing everybody celebrating him and I'm just like, what? Wait a second. Of course you don't know. So that was kind of crazy. But, the building has been burned now. Well, not literally. It's been torn down. This is why I brought all of this up too, is because I was recently looking at some pictures on Facebook. Somebody had posted just a bunch of pictures of the building before they were torn down. I guess they sold the property, and so, I mean, the place was there for, I think it had been there since like the 40s, 50s maybe. I mean, it was there for a long time. It had a lot of history, and there was a lot of people that they had a lot of memories tied. So much so, one lady hired a professional photographer to come out and just take pictures of the place before it was torn down, which it just ended up being really nice pictures of places where people just moved out of. So there were still like little pieces of trash on the ground and half taken apart furniture that was abandoned, that kind of stuff. So it seemed weird to me, but everybody, we all do things differently. Just going through those made me remember some of those times. And I had a lot of good times there too. Like, don't get me wrong. I'm not all about the bad times, the bad feelings, the bad memories. A lot of really good stuff. Like I said, a lot of, generally everybody else that I was around there was kind, fair. Well, I think that's enough from me today. So let's try something. Let's discuss this in the Facebook group. If you're listening to this and you enjoy it, please rate on iTunes while it exists. Write a review if you're so inclined. If you're on Facebook, come to Facebook and join our group, Trouble Understanding Podcast Support Group. Just come in there, hang out, introduce yourself. Or don't. I mean, you don't have to. You don't have to say anything about yourself. You just come in there. I enjoy the podcast. Thank you. You're welcome. So, come do that. It'll be nice. I think that's about it. That kind of wraps me up for this episode. Next week we'll have a new guest. That one might be a multi-part episode. I don't know. We'll see. Anyone could, I guess. I think I'm getting a little bit too silly. It's time for lunch. So, until next week, guys. Stay happy.